Hey, Kristina. Y'all,
Hey.
no games today. Everybody was early.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hey, folks, real quick before we get started.
Renee,
Yes.
are you doing shirts again?
Am I doing what now?
T-shirts again? Because this
I
one is
have
getting kind of.
I I have the form or whatever still up for that one that you have on. I need that in black. I have it in purple, but I need to create a new one.
Can you send us the link?
Yes, I will. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Been wanting the black one and I just need to order it. Crazy, I have to order my own merch, huh? So it happens when you don't make it yourself. All right.
Hey,
Just give it
ladies.
a hello.
Um,
Hello.
So I know there's more jumping on, so I'm just trying to give it a second. Change my background today, guys, instead of the
I
boring.
was about to say, I'm
The
loving the books. I
boring.
love it.
Normally, I'm in my boring recliner because it's the most comfortable chair, but today I was like, we're gonna have a display going on. My Funko Pops going all in today. Mm-mm-mm. Just check in real quick. Oh, there's Jessica. Okay. All right. Let Jessica's audio connect. There she is. Cool. Hey, Jess. All right. We are going to get started. First and foremost, somebody else is coming in. Welcome to our February book club discussion of The Love Lyric by Kristina Forrest. Thank you, Kristina, for being on with us. We are so excited to have you. We've read every single book in this series as a book club selection, so we are very excited to have you on here to close this up. Um, we've enjoyed all of them. We find we like romance in this book club, except maybe Topeka, we've kind of turned you on to romance, right? I've kind of forced everybody to love romance in this
You
book club.
turned me back onto it.
Yeah. So the majority of us like it. There's some that, we've kind of forced. Keela, you have your camera on today. I'm so proud. Keela, normally her camera hadn't been working and we figured out last chat. So we're excited for her to see her.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
It's been some months, huh?
It has been.
Anywho, Christina, I don't know if you want to say anything before we dive in or
Yeah, just, thank you for having me and glad to be here. Thank you for reading the books.
no problem. And hopefully we'll get to meet in person. Are you at the Black Romance Book Fest? Yep. So
Mhm.
we're
I'll see you
there's
there.
a good
Yeah.
chunk of us that are coming to that. So we're excited.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
We'll be there Saturday, Sunday. So we are super excited. And then hopefully we'll get to meet in person. And I
Yeah.
feel like there was something else you were coming to Atlanta before that, but maybe
I
I'm
was in Atlanta like 2 or 3 weeks ago
that Love
for
Fest.
mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. You guys want to shoot out general thoughts before we get into like questions? And I was happy just to kind of conclude the entire series and see all of the Green sisters happy. And for me personally, Second Chance Romance is my favorite, especially being a single mom. It was nice to see a fellow single mom win at love. 'Cause, we understand her struggle as, a single mom, protecting your kids, protecting your heart, having been married before. It's a lot. It's a scary leap to go through all of that. So I really loved seeing things from Iris's perspective. Anybody else want to general comments and thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I was happy to get the conclusion of the sisters, the Green sisters. I really enjoyed it. I still think that Lily, is it Lily? Yeah. I still think that she's my favorite
Favorite?
baby sister. Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Anyone else with general
Well,
thoughts?
same for me. I thought, the second chance is always a favorite. And the relatability of grown folks' stories, her dealing with a loss and all. I always appreciate that in romances. It makes it a little more relatable,
Mhm.
even though that I have not experienced that, but knowing people who have and feels a little more grownish, and I appreciate that because I'm not quite Topeka. I've read some romance, but I don't read as many as everybody else.
Mhm.
But your series has been a favorite.
Thank you. Yeah. It's so funny that y'all keep saying second chance. Do you think that this is the second chance romance?
Not for the two of them, but for her as a
Her.
Her
Oh,
after her
okay.
loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Not
was
like
like,
Yeah.
not like spin the block.
Right, right. But because she lost her husband, I look at it as a
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And lost in a tragic way and not in a
Right.
you're a bum and
Mhm.
I'm out of this kind of
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, because we
Mhm.
didn't had our share of them, huh?
I appreciated that it was not second chance for the couple,
Mhm.
but how they got together. The whole series, it's just so cute. And I don't
Well,
mean that in
thank
a
you.
bad way, cute,
Yeah.
but it's just cute as in it makes you smile the whole time you're reading it and listening to it. It's just like you love the dynamic.
Yeah, and
Thank
Iris
you.
is so anti-Angel too. She's just like, no way. He's like a singer. I don't
Yeah.
want no parts of that. I want a wholesome family to be out of the public eye. Like I don't want any of that. So it was cool to see her come around and just fall for him as a person, and put all that other stuff aside. I know Erica has raved about your YA. So one of my goals, I have a few authors, but one of my goals, Christina, is to go through your entire catalog. So I've read. Hold on, I gotta go back. Look, I read so many books that but I'm going through your catalog right now and going back
Okay.
to your YA because my first read from you was the Green Sister series. So
Mhm.
it's fun to like go back. But I know Erica was a huge fan of the YA and she's like, yeah, you gotta go back and like read. And I think Erica's probably reread some of yours too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I've read most of them twice. I
Oh,
always say this about you. You write the boy next door so well. You have the most
thank you.
adorable, lovable male leads for your young men. And it's funny
Mhm.
because I feel like the adult men always seem a little timid, a little shy, but the teenage
Mhm.
boys you write seem so confident and so sure of themselves, and you just fall in love with them
Mm.
right away.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, they have, I guess when I'm writing my YA stuff, they're not jaded yet. They like the world is their oyster. And like, by the time when I'm writing adult stuff, it's most of my characters have reached a point in their life where they thought they wanted something, but it didn't turn out that way. Or, maybe life has like changed their perspective on things. But like when I'm writing YA, the characters like, I'm going to college, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And they just have so much bravado. Even if they are like a more shy character, they always have like these really big dreams. So that's actually really funny that you pointed that out because it's true now that I think about it.
Well, that's interesting to know that's the logic because I had done all of your YA work and then I've been fortunate to get an arc for all of the Green Sisters books. So
Cool,
I
yeah.
noticed immediately the adult males have a different vibe.
Mhm.
The book that I read over the weekend was Now That I Found You. So that was
Oh
really
yeah, okay.
going back, and there's a couple that I have on hold with Libby right now that I'm
Mhm.
waiting on to go through, but that's my goal this year is to go through your entire catalog and go back because like I said, Erica is one of our trusted readers in here, and so when she recommends something, especially YA, she's always spot on with the YA for me.
Mhm.
So I was like, I'm definitely going back through your catalog and like reading it all. So it's been
I
good.
appreciate that.
I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
that one too. No problem. So back to the Green Sister series, what was your motivation for writing that? Where did that idea stem from?
So I got the original idea for the Green Sisters back in 2019. I had just finished writing Now That I Found You, actually. And for a long time, majority of what I have read has been romance. It was kind of YA romance and adult romance. And then around 2018-ish, it became, by the time I was a published author, most of what I was reading was adult romance. A lot of it was historical. And I was like, I don't want to write historical, but I do want to write contemporary. And I was really inspired, particularly by Helen Hoang. I loved The Kiss Quotient. It's like one of my favorite books of all time. And I also loved The Bride Test, that whole series.
Yep.
And at that time, it was like Helen Hoang, Jasmine Guillory, Alexa Martin. It was like Berkeley, this was when it was a big time, it was a big change for the way that publishing was accepting or being receptive of trade romance because the trim size was different, the covers were different, and they were trying to push it in a more mainstream way because most of what romance had been at the time was mass market paperbacks, you know. And I saw those three authors being six, and also, oh my God, I can't believe I'm gonna forget her name. She wrote Partners in Crime. She's Southeast Asian. Oh my God, what is her name? I love her books. I'm gonna be like, what am I thinking about later? I can't believe I forgot her name. Anyway, those four authors were doing really well at the time, and I was kind of like, well, they were like an inspiration for me. I was like, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Alicia
And
Rye?
Alicia Rye, yes, yeah. And I was like, well, if they can do it, you know, I can do it too. And so I had come up with the idea for the Green Sisters. It was based sort of on a lot of historical, contemporary does this too. All the different romance subgenres do the connected standalone series, but I was particularly inspired by some of the stuff that I read in historical, where like it would be each book would be about a different sibling. And all I knew is that I wanted them to all be named after flowers, and each book would be about a different sister. Um, and I kind of like had vague ideas of plot, and I sent that as this email to my agent, and she was like, "Oh, that sounds good," you know. But I was like, "I don't have any time to work on this. Didn't find time to work on it until work from home and during COVID, when I no longer had that, you know, big commute to work. I wrote Xyla and Kai a lot faster than I thought I would. And so I had extra time to start working on the neighbor favor. So I first just started writing the emails by hand and when I had time. And then after I was done with that, in the mornings, I just started typing the emails up and then just, you know, building from there. Um, and now here we are. The series is over. It's crazy. Like time went by
Oh,
like that.
yeah. And I love the way the neighbor favor began with the emails. Like I thought that that was so cool, the use of them going back and forth. Um, one of my favorites. So yeah,
Thank
we
you.
love all of them. And are especially excited to have you. Um, so I noticed a theme in some of your books, even with Now That I Found You, that there's music in some of your books. Is there a connection for you with music that you've incorporated that in your books?
I think I just like music. I cannot sing. I don't play any instruments. I'm just like a big fan. I used to dance, so you know, I'm just a big fan of music. I don't know. And I even, you know, with what I'm working on now, like if they're like at a party or something, I'm always making sure that I'm talking about what music is playing because I think that really does set the mood. And I create playlists for all the books that I work on when I'm trying to like catch the vibe. Yeah, I don't know.
And
I
it may
just
be for
really
me
enjoy
because I read the Love Lyric and Now That I Found You back to back. So that
music.
for me, it really stuck out for me that music played a huge part in both of those books. So love that. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah,
Now I'm gonna have to add that one to my list. Get it now.
Told you I'm on a journey right now. My holds are
You
becoming
know we read alike when it comes to the romance though. So
right.
I have
Yeah.
it checked out right now, the audiobook. So
Look,
Oh, the audio. Yeah, nice.
which one are you? Which one? Now That I Found You?
uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one
So we'll
I
talk about it soon.
yeah, because I was like, I read that in 2 days. Like it breezed by, but it was a good story, just following, their journey, trying to figure out where the grandmother is. And I don't want to give spoilers, but it was like an adventure of
Mhm.
two people that aren't really fond of each other, but figuring it
Yeah.
out. So it was a cool journey. Did you find in any particular scene, and I'll talk about the Love Lyric or any of the Green Sister series that you found was difficult to write in the books?
Um, the love lyric overall was not very easy to write. I had the hardest time writing the love lyric. And I think it was for a couple reasons. The main reason is that Iris as a character really intimidated me.
Mm.
because at the time, I'm 32 now, but when I was working on the book, this was 2 years ago when I was working on the first draft. And so she was older than me, which not, not that big of an age difference, but I felt like she just was more experienced in life than I was because she had been married before. I'm married now, but I wasn't married then. I don't have any kids. She's, a mom. And even though I have best friends who have kids and like they were a big inspiration for her, I didn't have that experience. And also there was this backstory with her grief. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I was doing my best to deliver the happily ever after that I thought she deserved. And I had a feeling that she was like, I don't want to say like a crowd favorite, but like people would say things about me to her about her specifically. And so I felt like, oh gosh, like people are really waiting for Iris's story. And it just felt like for the first time I felt like somebody was like watching me while I was writing. And so that was a little hard. But mostly it was because of the grief factor as well, because I'm trying to build this new romance with Angel, but I'm also working out her feelings about the love that she still has for her late husband, and how she is carving out this new space. And I wanted to be respectful of how I wrote her grief and how she still loves her husband, and but now she has this new romance with Angel. I felt like I was just juggling a bunch of things at once. And I was like it was a very intense writing process. And I was so in my head about it. It was really hard. It was really hard. But then I felt out of all the books that I've written, because we have to go through so many rounds of revisions. And then once the book is formatted, you have to read it again. You end up reading the book like 5 times. You're like sick of it before it goes out onto shelves. But like reading the love lyric, when I was reading what's called First Pass, is when you see the book formatted for the first time. I felt this like deep sense of satisfaction that I usually feel pretty satisfied. Like after I'm done a book, I'm like, I know that I did my absolute best, and it is what it is by the time it gets out there. But reading the love lyric was the first time that I felt this like really, really deep sense of satisfaction, that I felt that I really did the best that I could. And I really do, it's all perspective. Art is subjective, but I really do think that's my best book so far. And I felt really good about it by the time, it was about to be sent off to the printer and everything. But it was hard. It was a really hard one to write.
I can imagine. And I think you nailed it, especially as a mother and someone who lost a husband, because I feel like we felt her grief without it really taking over the book in a way, and really being a roadblock of her moving forward. Like it was, but not, in such a huge way. And then as a mother, I felt like how Iris was as a character, like that's how I would be as a mom. Like we have to put our children first and they come first, and you have to have a partner that understands that. So I think you did a great job of writing
Thank you.
Karen as a mother. And then yeah, it
Thank
must have been
you.
difficult.
Yeah, Renee, I was gonna say the same thing, that I appreciated that the book explored all of these topics, but grief wasn't like just such a heavy, it didn't have like a heavy, heavy presence or feeling in the book. And I appreciated, or I felt like the timeline was just perfect, right? For, the number of years that have passed, allowed her to be in that I don't want to say perfect space, because obviously it wasn't
Right.
perfect, but in the right time to explore new love, and for grief to not be such a heavy theme for the book. It was
And
just it was just right. Yeah.
yeah, to be open to dating again, because
Yeah.
even that part is hard in itself when you're trying to move forward, especially in the way that she lost her husband. So yeah, I thought it was well written.
Thank
I
you.
was just ready for her to relax. Like she had been taking care of everyone else,
Yeah.
and just at certain points in the book, I just wanted to shake her and be like, if you don't go to this man and let him, and I just love the way that even though she was the way she was, he just hung in there and gave her a space when she needed it, and how she was protective of even him. The scene with his mama, I was like, oh Lord.
Listen, I did not
I
like
wanted to,
this
yeah, his
Cora.
mama was so you spending his money, but you are,
Right.
just
He paying all the
talking about
bills.
his
He has so much to
lifestyle.
say. Yeah.
Oh,
She
I
was,
was sick of
I did
her.
not like her at all. She
Like
was just
R&B
like,
is not good enough because I want gospel, but it's good enough to pay these
pay your
bills.
bill.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
To
Very
to to get
hypocritical.
into the church and all this thing. I was so glad when the dad kinda stepped up and, was just like, leave him alone or let the boy be or whatever happened. I don't remember quite, but yeah, I was sick of her in the worst way. I was dismissing her
Yeah. She had a lot of smart comments, and I was like, oh,
always.
break her
Yeah.
neck.
You know what's funny? In the very first draft of this book, Iris had issues with Terry's mom. And I was like, they can't
Oh.
both have problems with their moms. And I also wanted, like Iris has too much going on. She can't have an annoying mother-in-law too. So I had to go back, and I'm actually really glad that I made that choice to make them have like a loving relationship. I felt like that was a little bit more refreshing than what you sometimes experience in real life with the mother of the person that you date. But yeah, originally she had beef with her mother-in-law, and I was like, this is too much.
I'm glad you took that out.
Yeah.
I
I
did
would
like that slight suspense though at the event when she was told somebody's here to see you, and she's like, it's her mother-in-law.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We know
Yeah.
what we're walking into. Exactly.
But I was glad that they did get along.
Mhm.
Same. Because his mother was enough.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
she
couldn't
was.
deal. I made notes about her, and I'm like, but it exactly was what worked my damn nerves. That's what I put next to her.
Ooh,
Like,
she was out there naked.
yeah, the whole
I
time.
know. She did not have like a lot of, not very supportive at all.
Make it, but give me that 10%.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Cut my check. Run me my money. And also, like for me, I love the covers. Each of them are just absolutely beautiful. How much say-so did you have in the cover art? And did the same person do all three of the Green Sister series?
Yes, the same person illustrated and designed them. So sometimes it depends. Like sometimes the designer who's assigned to your book will hire an illustrator to work on it, but the in-house. But the person who works at Penguin Random House, who designed my book, is also an illustrator. So she did all three covers. Luckily, I have a lot of say and in the covers, and they're thankfully very receptive to all of my notes and all of my thoughts. And the Love Lyric cover took the longest to get right. The partner plot was the easiest. That was like a breeze. The neighbor favor took a little bit long, but the Love Lyric definitely took the longest. It was like difficult to get Angel right. He has a very specific look,
Yeah.
and I was like, he needs to give R&B pop star, but
Mhm.
still look like someone who's approachable. And he's just got like a bunch of different things going on with him, like cosmetically. And so I was like, the different color hair, the nose ring. I was like,
Nose
he
ring.
needs
I
to
just noticed that. Yeah.
still
I
look.
just noticed
I'm
the
looking
nose
at it. Yeah.
ring.
I'm like
I was
staring
like,
at it.
oh wait.
And so I was like, he still needs to look, masculine enough, even though he has these sort of like, I don't even know what the right word is. Different, and even like the way he dresses sometimes in the book, like he wears like kilts and stuff. Like he's experimental in his style, and that's a big part of who he is because he grew up very sheltered, and so now he is like making all his own decisions. He wants to dress however he wants to dress, and I was like, but he still needs to be sexy. So it was just like a lot of rounds to get him right, and I think that I'm happy with where we ended up. But it was also by the time we got to the Love Lyric, we had a package. like we need to make sure that this cover fits in with the first two. And so we had to make sure we had the coloring right and everything. But I am really happy with it. I love the way that these covers look. And I think in a past life, maybe I was a creative director or something, because I wish y'all could see, seriously, all my covers, all the work that goes, the long emails and the PowerPoints and all the different stuff. I'm like, in another life, this is a different job that I had, because it
Yeah.
takes, it's so you have to think about branding. I'm very like a stickler for that, but I'm very nice and polite about it, but we got to make sure we get this right. And I'm very lucky to have a team that also is like is on that same page with me. Like we need to make sure that we get the look of these covers right. And I just love the way that they all look together. So thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
And it's your baby, so you want to make sure you get them right. So,
Yeah, yeah.
did you mention that you had finished this particular book 2 years ago? That you had finished writing it that long ago?
I'm trying to remember. Yes. Yes.
Wow. So you just
No, no, no,
been
no, no. Yeah, oh, God, basically, like I handed in the first draft at the end of January of last year. So
okay.
I was working on majority of it two
A year
years,
straight.
a year
Okay.
and a half ago.
Okay. So how long in total did it take you to like sit down and finish this from beginning to end?
Um, it usually takes me about 3.5 months to work on a first draft. Then I spend a month by myself editing it. And then I send it to my editor. And then we spend a few months editing it. And then there's like the other processes of like reading over for copy edits and stuff like that. So that's why there's such a huge lead time between when you hand in a book and when it actually comes out. There's just so many rounds and different things that a book goes through. And then that's always funny when you go on tour, you just like you guys are catching me after tour. So I'm prepped. I'm ready to talk about the book.
You have
But
all
like
the yeah.
in the beginning, you feel rusty because by the time a book comes out, you've written 1 to 2 other books. And so you're like, what was I thinking? I don't even know what I was thinking about when I wrote the book, because it's so long ago.
Mhm.
Um, that's why I was like, I don't even remember when I handed in the book, but it was definitely January of last year. Um, and
Yeah.
I've written 1.5 books since then.
The one that's coming out this fall.
The one
Or
that's
like
coming out in the fall, yeah, and then my book that's coming out next year is what I'm working on now, and I'm like halfway through that. So like
okay.
by the time it's just like, yeah, it's the publishing schedule is so weird, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you're cranking them out because when you were finishing up this book, like the partner plot was coming out. That actually came out of my partner
yeah.
last year, so I was super excited about.
Okay.
But yeah, you were cranking them out. 3.5 months. That's not bad at all. That's a lot better than the books I've attempted to start.
Well, I also will say that like I write full time now. I didn't always write full time. The partner plot is the first book that I wrote as a full-time author.
Amazing.
Um, and it's like a muscle. I just work it, you know what I mean? Like I think the partner plot took me actually 4.5 months. It wasn't until the love lyric that I started to get like a real rhythm. But you just build stamina, honestly, because at first it was kind of hard because I've tried to write every day, Monday through Friday. And it was hard to like get into that groove, but now it just works a little bit better because I'm more used to it. Um, yeah.
So when you're, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have a question about since you were writing the series, were
Mhm.
there ever times when you were writing one sister that you had to make some notes and say, oh, I want to make sure that I put that in so and so's book?
Great question.
Or
Yeah. So, with so going into this particular series, I did know I knew Iris was going to end up with Angel, and I knew um, Violet was going to be finding love after heartbreak. And there was one as I was working on the neighbor favor, their stories, the other two sisters started to come alive for me, like their different stories of what I wanted them to be. Um, I'm not usually thinking about them in full simultaneously. It's like I'm focusing on the neighbor favor. I'm like, which book am I talking about? Focusing on the neighbor favor, and then like I'm like, oh, I should do that. And so like by the time the neighbor favor was about to go through copy edits, and so that's like the last phase before it gets formatted, I had handed in the snippet that is at the end of the neighbor favor for the love lyric. And I knew I'm like, when did I know it was going to be Xavier? I don't know, but I know that why they're like, sorry, I live in Jersey City. They're like letting off fireworks for some reason. I don't even know. That distracted me. But I knew it was going to be Xavier. And so I do remember going back into the book and adding a line about Xavier for the neighbor favor. That was a very last minute thing. Um, Iris and Angel, I knew much earlier on what their story would be. And so that's why I sort of added him as like a fun red herring in the beginning of the neighbor favor for like Lily and Nick. Um, and yeah, I know, so I sort of have an idea, but it's like really when I sit down to work on it that like I'm really like fleshing it out. And yeah.
Well, you sing them together so well. I had to know. I was like,
Thank you.
wait, have you plotted all of this out before, or it's just like one
Yeah,
at
like
a time?
vaguely. Like
Yeah.
I know how. I think when I'm actively working on one book, I am thinking, okay, Easter eggs. Like this is going to be an Easter egg, but I don't like to tie myself down too much
Mm-hmm.
because then if I did, I just try to like leave a little bit of creative room. Like I want to know, I want to identify who the leads are and like what their vibe is, but then that's kind of like where I want to leave it so that by the time I start working on their actual book, I have like room to
Yeah, that makes sense.
make it whatever I want it to be.
Thank you.
Rosa has a question in the chat. She said, were there any other major changes you made from the first draft to the final edit?
I think for the love lyric, that was the biggest one. It was Iris's versus Iris's mother-in-law. Was there something else? And a lot of the times when I'm working on a first draft, I end up keeping about 65% of it. But in a lot of the changes that I make have to do with pacing or like rearranging. So a lot of the events are still in the book, but maybe I just changed the way that it happened or like the conversations that I don't know if you can y'all hear that? You can't okay, there's like fireworks that are going off right now. I'm
I
so
hear a
confused.
little bit. Yeah, you can
Okay,
hear.
I'm just like, what the hell is happening? But
Is it?
uh
I'm trying to think. No,
is
it's
it
Ash
it's not a
Wednesday.
holiday,
It's
right?
Ash Wednesday. I don't know why that
Right.
serves fireworks.
Celebrating Lent.
It's
Yeah,
a
I don't
solemn
know.
time.
You know, Lent with the
Yesterday would have been fireworks, not today.
right. Yeah,
No
that
idea,
part.
but maybe they're having a party somewhere. But yeah, I don't that's the only big change that I can think of that I made for them. Yeah.
Nicole has a question as well. She said, do you see any of these becoming movies or TV series?
I would love for any and all of my books to be TV or, you know, movies. I just like, I'm waiting for somebody to want to make it into one.
Come
That
on,
would be
Netflix.
really
Yeah,
cool. Right? Yeah. So
yeah.
we'll see. I'm like interested to see what happens with the adaptation of Forever by Judy Blume that's going to be on Netflix because that has two Black teens, and I'm just curious to see how that does and if that, you know, ends up translating to anything later down the line, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So you talked a little bit about your writing process and writing every day, but what does that look like? Are you in an office somewhere? Are you locking yourself in a room? What does your writing process typically look like?
It really depends. Sometimes I go to the library. Sometimes I sit in front of my desk because I have a big monitor. Um, and I like to use that because it's better for my eyes. But I don't always have the easiest time writing at my desk. I think I'm too comfortable. You know, I don't know because I
Yeah.
end up slouching in my chair and I write. So I don't know. But this thing I've been doing lately is writing at the kitchen island. And I don't know if it's
Mm,
because the chairs only come up
Chairs,
to
yeah.
the middle of my back. They're not that comfortable. And I want to get up. So I
Yeah.
write faster. I'm just way more focused. And if I get up at like 6 a.m. and I write, I do like a 5 hour workday. I write from like 6 to 11 and then I'm done. And then I can do like administrative stuff. But it also depends like what stage of the process I'm in. First drafts are like the way that best way I could explain is my brain feels like a washcloth that I've like wrung out by the end of the day. I have nothing left to give at the end of the day when I'm working on
Wow.
a first draft because it's just like taking all of my energy, all of my creative juices. Like it's honestly, I'm surprised I'm even being like engaging with you right now because
Feel like a zombie after you're done.
yeah, I really do. But so like when I'm working on that, my days are really long. But if I am working on revisions, that takes like a different part of my brain. And so I'm a little bit more free flowing. I can work on revisions anywhere because the words are already there. I'm just trying to make them better. Um, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it kind of depends.
Now I know you got married last year. So how did you balance planning a wedding and writing at the same time?
So when I was planning the wedding, the majority of that, well, we had a long lead up. We got engaged in March of 2023.
Okay.
Yes, yes. We got engaged in March 2023. And so we had a long time to plan the wedding. Majority of it was happening while I was writing Heartsick, which is the next YA. And
Okay.
I feel like I was just thinking to myself this morning that I feel like I wrote that book with one eye open. Like I was like halfway over here, then halfway looking at the book. But I had I had a whole synopsis outline, all the stuff submitted to my editor in like the year before. So I knew everything that was happening with the book, even though I ended up having to rewrite a lot of it.
Wow.
And my YA is shorter. It was like they're about, well, Xylan Kai's long, but majority of my YAs are about 20,000 words shorter than my adult stuff. So it took me less time to write. I don't know how I did it, honestly. I had a
A
very
lot.
my editor was very understanding of what was going on in my personal life at the time. So she gave me a lot of extensions and was very gracious with me. And so that's teamwork. That's how it got done. Yeah.
Definitely had a full plate. Are you able to tell us a little bit about Heartsick and maybe any other projects that you have coming up?
Yeah, so I can talk about Heartsick. So that is the next YA that comes out in October. And that is about two teens named Margot and Isaac who are exes. And they broke up because, they're both about to graduate and they have very different ideas about what their future is going to look like. Margot works at a company called the Healing Heart Center, and they've created a pill that you can take in order to fall out of love with someone. And she and Isaac find out this really dangerous secret about this pill. And they basically have to work together in order to reveal the truth about this pill. And they go on this like wild, zany kind of accidental road trip to try to reveal this truth. And of course, they're exes. There's a lot of tension between the two of them and why they broke up and things that have been left unsaid. So they also have to try to mend each other's hearts along the way.
I love that. And I love that theme in your YA books because the one that I read, it's like everybody's going on an adventure of in some capacity
Yeah.
where they're doing something. And then I think the other one is a road trip as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
when I read the cover about it. So I love that.
yeah. So that's what's next.
That's exciting. I'm excited to read that. Does anybody else have any questions? I have more, but if anybody.
I
Hey,
usually try to
Christina.
save this one to the end or closer to the end because it kind of disrupts the flow about the book. But I like to ask if you choose your narrators and what's the process?
So there's like an audio team at Penguin Random House, and my audio editor will send me three suggestions per three, usually around three suggestions per main character. And then I'll listen to the samples and then choose from there who I want to work with. And sometimes there's been times in the past where the person I wanted wasn't available, so I picked someone else. But so they offer suggestions, and then from there I choose.
Okay. I just
Asia,
always
did
like
you?
to know that.
I think Talisha does.
Oh,
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to add, Christina, that I loved all the notes to Hampton because I went to Hampton, so I appreciate that. Love seeing it in the
Okay.
book. But it was good. I liked the whole series.
Thank you.
You mentioned a few authors. Are there any others that you maybe didn't mention that inspire you? And I know you also mentioned reading historical. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know if there's any that inspire you in some of your writings that you might want to share.
Yeah, so if historical wise, obviously Beverly Jenkins, I love her book so much. Indigo is one of my favorite books of all time. It's so good. I also really love an author named Lisa Kleypas who writes historical fiction, or she used to. I don't know if she's doing it anymore, but I'm very, very inspired by her books. If I'm like stuck on something and I don't know how to move the plot forward, I will look and see how Lisa Kleypas, even though it's so different, so different. She writes like Regency era historic, so different from what I write. I will go and see, well, how did she do it? I've learned a lot from her. I also love Tia Williams' writing. I think she's so talented. Just like a lot of my peers who are like writing with me now. And I'm looking at my bookshelf to make sure I'm like gonna say, oh, I love Talia Hibbert. Um, Nikki Payne. I really like Kimberly Lemming's books, even though, I don't write fantasy, but I think her books are just so fun and funny. Um, right now I'm reading This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, and I think it is so excellent. And like the stuff that's happening, the cover, I did not think what the plot was going to be, what the cover is, I didn't know
Yeah,
what to expect. Like I read Before I Let Go. So I knew that this book was going to be about Soledad, but and I knew that her husband was probably going to be a piece of shit, but like I didn't know the extent of it. Like I've just been reading it on the train and I'm like, like my jaw is dropping. I'm still early on, like maybe 25% of the way in, but I'm like, damn, he is crazy. So that's a really good book. Um, yeah, those are all the people who are coming to me right now. But those are some of the authors, who
we're a fan of that Kennedy Ryan series. I think we've done every book in that series as well, and
okay.
we'll finish that one up in book club too. But yeah, we've been big fans of that series as well. Um, There was another. Oh, you were talking about Tia. I'm excited because I just found out my assignment for the Black Romance Book Fest, and I get to work with her. She's doing a
Oh,
keynote, I think, on
cool.
Sunday, so I get
Mhm.
to join her with that. I had Jasmine Guillory, and then they switched the schedule up, so I was like, because I'm a big fan of Jasmine Guillory too, but I
Mhm.
get Tia, so I'm excited to meet and work with her because I've followed her and read her books for years, so
Yeah,
um,
she's super sweet. She's really nice.
I'm
That's
excited.
fine.
Anybody else have any questions?
No questions, but I was thinking earlier about how much I like the scene where Angel goes and he sings the songs at the open mic night.
Mhm, mhm.
Always love when that is incorporated into like a movie or a book. It brings me back to like Love Jones, and it's one of my favorite movies. So I love a good let me go spill my heart at an open mic.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? I also love Love Jones. I rewatched it recently, particularly because I wanted fashion inspiration from wait, why am I blanking on her name?
Me alone.
Yeah,
Nia Long, yes, Nia Long's character. She has really great outfits in that movie.
She does.
But a movie that I actually think inspires most of my vibe or what I try to capture is Brown Sugar. And I think it's because I watched that movie so much when I was younger in like my formative brain years. It was always on HBO. And so this is back when HBO was on cable, like before you had to pay separate for HBO, and I had a TV in my room, and my TV had like regular cable, and Brown Sugar was always on. And I loved that movie, and I loved the scene at the end when he's in the cab on the phone with her trying to get there, and then he puts the note on the glass when she's in the it's just like I love that movie so much. I love it so much that sometimes I feel like I can't, if I see that it's on or it's available for streaming, I can't watch it because like I'm too emotionally invested. I don't know if any of y'all ever feel that way, but like I'm like I know that if I watch this right now, I emotionally can't handle it. But I love that movie so much. So
that's funny, and I can totally see how you use that vibe. Now that you say it,
That's one of my favorite movies. This
That's
tells
one of
my
my
age.
favorite too.
I have that in DVD. I'm telling my
I
age.
think I do
I
too.
need to go back and
I
watch it.
have Brown
It's
Sugar on
so-
DVD.
I
used to
don't have
watch
a
that all the
DVD player,
time.
but I have it. But my favorite scene is the restaurant scene when he gets the
when he's like,
My divorce.
My
That is my
friend and
favorite
I
line.
do
I
that
love that.
all the time. We'll be in a
Yeah.
meeting or somewhere. They're like, anybody have anything to announce? And we go, my
I know
divorce.
exactly, yeah.
oh my God. It's like there's
Oh,
so many good moments in that movie. And like
I gotta go watch it
the
again.
rappers that
Yes.
what were they called? The
Oh
Dalmatians?
my
the
God.
Repentant or whatever.
the
Renaissance.
Dalmatians.
The Dalmatians.
The
Yes.
Dalmatian.
I just love that movie so much. And
Now I'm
Now
gonna
you're
have to
gonna
go
make
watch
me
it.
watch
Oh
it
yeah.
too.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Immediately after book club, I'm going to watch that now.
One of my favorite
Love
parts is when
Jones.
she goes out with him and he's over for coffee. Sydney,
I had
Sydney,
Love
I
Jones on my
like that
list to
part.
watch like
Sydney.
next this week. Now I got to add Brown Sugar again.
Yeah, and Love Jones. I haven't watched that in a little minute.
Yeah, I was planning to watch it the other night and I dozed off, so I said I'll watch it one day this week.
Yeah. There's like a bunch of movies around that time that I used to watch. Like Two Can Play That Game. Used to watch that all the time too.
oh, that one too. I loved like I had no business watching
Like
that movie, but I watched
I
it.
was about to say, were you even born when they were made? Oh my goodness.
But this I'm saying again, like there were these movies that would be on HBO in syndication, and so like I would be watching them, and I loved to play that game too.
He was like Sex and the City was on HBO when I probably look at it. She's like, yeah.
The movie Have Plenty is another like Black cult classic that not enough people talk about to
I don't
me.
think I've seen that before.
I
Have
don't think I've
Plenty
seen
is good. It's
Who's
good.
in
It
that?
is.
Oh, I love that movie, and
I'll
I
give
love
you
the
one.
soundtrack of Have Plenty.
Yeah, it's
That's a
good.
good soundtrack.
To
Look,
add
I'm
that
gonna
to
have to
my list.
Google
I haven't
who's
seen
in
that
that.
before.
So we're talking about how much you're writing. How much time do you get to actually read for pleasure? Because I feel like as much as you're writing all day, I'm not even gonna want to look at a book. And that's probably why I do no writing is because I read instead.
So I'm trying to be more intentional about that because, well, last year I really fell off, but I think it's because of the wedding. Because like, and all my, free time, it's just, planning the wedding and stuff like that. And then the other thing is that as authors, we get asked to blurb other books, and that's like where you see that like quote, like someone's like, "I love this so much."
Yeah.
So a lot of what I've been doing so far this year is reading other books for blurbs. And I'm a pretty fast reader if I'm reading for fun or for pleasure, but I read books for blurbs so slowly. And I think it's because I'm trying to make sure I'm paying attention to everything that's happening in the book because I want to make sure if I'm going to endorse it that I stand behind everything that's happening. So I would just read them way more, like more slowly, and that puts me back behind, on my regular TBR. I try to read before bed though. Like I have a book club that I started this year with my sisters-in-law. I don't know what the right way to say that is, but we're reading Yellow Wife right now, and that's a
Oh, that's
pretty
so
hard
good.
book to be. It's very good, but it's tough subject matter, and I'm like, I cannot be reading this before I go to bed because my dreams are gonna be crazy. But that's what I read. I read for like an hour or an hour and a half or so before I go to sleep. So that's when I try, or like when I'm on the train and stuff. Like that's when I get my reading into.
That book is amazing. We had Sadiqa on with us, and she talked a lot about that book and just the research that she put behind it, and where she pulled her inspiration. It was actually really cool to talk to her about that. I have a couple questions in the chat. Rosa asked, "How do things like libraries, Audible, and Book of the Month affect your sales?"
So library sales and Audible sale, well, like libraries purchase your book for their collection. So that is, so if you sometimes a library websites they have it where you can like make a purchase suggestion that is helpful to sales. But it's also just good to support your local library and keep books in circulation. Audible is a subscription model. And so I'm like honestly not 1,000% sure what that how that plays into royalties, but you know, that's you're purchasing it and so it's or you're paying for your subscription. So the plays, I guess, must add up to something. I feel like I should know this. I used to work in publishing, so I feel like I should know how that works, but I don't for Audible. And for book of the month, I've never had a book be a book of the month pick before, but I do know that that's actually was what my old job used to be. I would license our books to like book clubs and stuff like that. Um, those sales do go towards an author's like royalties and things like that, and like sales that help them to get on bestseller lists and stuff like that. So they're not directly through the publisher, but they do help overall sales.
We were on a chat, what was it, Friday, with Victoria Christopher Murray, and she like we were so baffled by this statistic, but she was telling us how audiobooks like don't go towards your best-selling, like going to the bestsellers list. I was like, I thought that was crazy because so many people love to listen to the audiobook, as a form.
It really depends. And I also think that it's like there's such a lack of transparency about bestseller lists and because they're editorialized. Because like, if you look at the USA Today list and you see how they calculate, I want to say that they include everything. They include Amazon, BNN, Indies, ebook, audio, like every single format.
I think she was talking about New York Times.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna get to that, but then like they don't. Sometimes it's kind of like, okay, well, if the sales are this, then why is the book here and not here? And it's the same thing with the New York Times. It's editorialized, and so I think that that's tough when you're in a place where you're looking at your numbers and you're like, well, the math isn't mathing here because my numbers are here, but then my book's not here. So it's just,
Yeah, depends.
Yeah.
So you working in the publishing industry, is that what motivated you to write your own book? How did you
It was
get?
the other way around. I went to grad school in New York and got my MFA in creative writing, and I knew I wanted to stay in New York and I needed a job. So I got internships in publishing, and then from internships, I worked in publishing full time.
Oh, that's very cool. Nicole has a question. If you could collaborate with an author in a book, who would it be?
I would say Etta Easton. She wrote The Love Simulation, which just came out this week, and also The Kiss Countdown, which is a book that I love. I think that we have like a similar, she writes in first person for her adult, but I think that we sort of have like a similar vibe to our books.
That's cool. Any other questions? Oh, quiet. None?
Hi, everyone. I don't really have any questions. I just wanted to give Kristina her tens. The green. The Green Sisters was actually my intro to this genre. So, yeah, so I was really excited about it. I read each one more than once. So yeah, I just want to give you a tens. I really loved all three of the books. Neighbor Favorite is my favorite as well. I don't know if it's because it was the first book and the intro, but I also saw a little of myself in Lily and Nick, like as far as a person, personality, et cetera, et cetera. So that might be part of it too. But that's all. I just wanted to let you know I enjoy all three books, and I'm happy I stumbled across this event that you all made public. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
It doesn't have to be a question if y'all just have general thoughts too. You can chime in. I know some of y'all have your cameras off, but you're more than
Well, I would
welcome.
just say I appreciate you sharing what your process is, because I think more and more understanding that from authors is important to us as readers. Those of us who may want to write, and those of us who like, no, I just want to keep reading, but understanding, you know, everything that goes into what it takes for you all to produce this work. And I think all of us on here are very dedicated to making sure that our Black authors get their due. And so thank you for being willing to come and share with us intimately in this space. I appreciate it. And again, the Green Sisters, I love I love it when things are
Yeah,
themed with their names. And so they are top notch to me with their flower names and the flower shop and the last name group. It's just the cutest thing. I love it. I love them.
I love the flower shop name too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate, that there's interest that you guys are reading the books and you enjoy them. Like, that's all I can really ask for. So
Like I said,
One more thing, sorry.
you're good.
Because I meant to say this earlier with the neighbor favor. That was like, usually I read more during the day because when I read at night, I'm out. But I could not put those emails down. Like, I finally looked up and was like, girl, you almost halfway through. You read
Yeah,
all these. Like, I read all night, one night, just like getting through the emails. I loved that. And
thank you.
it sucked me in, and I couldn't put the book down.
yeah, because
I'm
that was
so
my
glad to
first
hear
read
that.
by you as well, and I think we absolutely loved it. Like across
Mhm.
the board, everybody was super excited
I
about
kept looking at the clock like, it is 2:45.
still going. Yeah,
It was like
But
love letters to me.
I
I
had
love
to
love
get through
yeah.
letters.
those
Yeah.
emails.
Wanted to see where it was gonna go. Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. We love that. And I know, like I mentioned earlier, a bunch of us will be at the Black Romance Book Fest, so we're super excited about that. Who's Keela, Asia, Jessica, I think, myself, of course, will all be there. So we're excited to see you there and see. I think this just in general is such a beautiful thing to have.
I'm so excited. And I was just actually looking at the website today because I keep getting the weekends confused. I keep thinking it's Memorial Weekend, but
Memorial Day is the
it's the
weekend
weekend.
after.
Yeah, it's the weekend after Memorial Weekend. And I was looking on the website today and I was like, oh my gosh, there are gonna be so many people here. There's so many different like events and stuff that are happening. So I'm
I'm glad.
excited. I think it's just gonna be fun. And I'm excited to meet everybody. And
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be.
think it's gonna be a really good vibe, like a very like fulfilling, like heartwarming, you know what I mean? Vibe to just see so many like Black authors in the same space and to be in, conversation with each other. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Have they given you your assignments yet, or do you know what?
I know that I'm on two panels. They did tell me the panels that I'm on. I'm on like a rom-com panel. I was literally just looking at this morning, so this should be fresh in my mind, but it's not. I'm on a rom-com panel and then like another contemporary romance panel, but I don't know I don't remember the days and my signing time and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was waiting for that too. I'm like, they were selling tickets, and then I was like, I don't even know if I'm going both days or one day. So I finally got that I'm doing Sunday. So I mean, I'll be there all day,
Hmm.
every day. But
I
yeah,
just bought the whatever. I
yeah,
was like, click, click. And I said, now what did I get? I got
Yeah, they sold
all
out so
access.
fast.
Yeah.
So, that's a really good sign though. It means that, people are excited for this and, so I think it's gonna be really cool.
Buying that ticket was preparatory for my Beyonce ticket because it was like, girl, they're going fast. Get the ticket.
I set an alarm for it.
And I remember Aisha was like, the tickets are up. And I just clicked something because the first thing I clicked said sold out. So I was like, okay.
Oh,
go.
wow.
And I got like the all access. And I'm like, I don't know if I wanted this,
Yeah.
but it's all I could get. So I got it. But,
And I think Keela had to slide in the DMs to get a ticket. Like it was already sold out. So
I
she
did.
was
I was like, are you all going to put more tickets on sale? And they just sent me a link. So, but I wasn't able to get any of the like add-on stuff, but all of the other stuff. Yeah. And then
Wow.
I
Yeah.
think they put some more on sale and they sold out really quickly too when they did it again. So yeah.
I saw that Kennedy does a auction every year called Live for Autism, and she is I'm pretty sure I saw that she's auctioning off 2 tickets or maybe 1
Yeah, that's
to the
amazing.
festival. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I did see her say that. So that is like one way to get tickets.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody's trying to do fraudulent things with your stuff, I think that's a good sign because
That's what I was thinking too. When I saw them post that, I was like, wow, if somebody's lying about
awful.
being
I mean, it's bad,
affiliated
but it
with
means
it.
there's interest.
It's popular, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Insane. I'm excited for that. We better get those clacking fans ready, y'all, for the Decades dance. Like we've been talking about that. The clacking fans and boots on the ground. They're ready. Exciting. So, but thank you, Kristina, for joining us. This has been amazing. We again love everything that you've done. Looking forward to the next book this fall. Excited for that one. Excited to see you in Atlanta. That's where there's a few of us that live in Atlanta, so we're excited to have you here. I think that weekend's just going to be a ball in general. I live probably 45 minutes from Buckhead, but I'm staying in Buckhead. I'm like, it's gonna be a no-go home weekend just to kind of hang out. So we really appreciate you coming on and we look forward to meeting you in person.
yeah, thank you so much for having me. I loved getting to talk to y'all tonight. So yeah, thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have an amazing night.
Thanks. Bye,
Y'all
everybody.
next month.
Bye. Thanks.